Hey, Cryptonairz. Welcome again to another amazing episode of Around the Clock, Cryptonairz Ladies of Crypto. You know what time it is. We're going to be doing something a little bit different tonight, though, however. I don't have any of my beautiful other hosts with me, so I am home alone. Kind of make the home alone face. So we're going to quickly go through the news. We're not going to keep you a long time tonight. We want to review what is popping in the space. And then I just want to share my crypto story with you guys. And we're going to do that, at the end. And we'll keep it, short but meaningful. So let's take a look at the markets. What's happening with crypto right now? We had a wonderful week up until it seemed like early today, and then we got a bit of a pullback. So these things do happen, but it looks like let's refresh this to make sure that we have absolutely the most recent information. Looks like Bitcoin is still holding at 44,461. It was at 46, so it has taken a little bit of a dive, but not too deep. Ethereum still holding at 3,000, which is looking good. My baby, Cardano, look at her. She's at 182, still holding strong. XRP was at $1. I think it got to $1.03 at some point, either yesterday or last night, but it's now at 96 cents. So it looks like we're creeping back up. As usual, Bitcoin likes to come and spoil the altcoin party, so no surprise there. Let's get straight into some other news. We had talked to you guys for the last 2 days about a hack. The $600 million hack, which was the biggest hack in crypto history on the Poly network. So we got some breaking news on that today. We said that we would keep you guys informed of what was happening with the thief. So the suspected hacker behind the $600 million Poly network crypto heist did it for fun. Exactly as I predicted. Last night, we said that this person was going to come forward and say that this was all just a big old joke, and that they were doing it just to see whether or not they could exploit the network. And it looks like, though, the joke may be on them. We don't know what's going to happen. But just as we said here last night, it looks like the hacker is now saying, I did it for fun. Okay, so there's another article here that I want to share on the same topic. This one is from Barron's. The curious case of the $600 million crypto heist. So it seems as if, and again, we predicted this here too last night, or we had talked about them. What these exchanges usually do whenever there is a hack is they will offer the thief a bounty. That is usually when they have no clue who it is. All they have is a wallet address, and they have the hacker leaves no trace. In this case, the hacker did leave a trail, and it seems as if the exchange may know who or whom these people are who conducted this. What they usually do is, if they don't have the trail, they will get online and they will offer a huge reward in return for the stolen funds. And they say that, we'll pay you what they call a bug bounty, which is what they pay a developer who finds excuse me, guys, a weakness or vulnerability in the network. We'll pay you, you return everything, and we're good. So in this case, we were predicting that's not going to happen. They know who this person is. He or she or them are going to do jail time. But it does seem as if they have offered a reward of $500,000. Now, the hackers hacker or hackers stole $600 million. So they're being rewarded. It seems as if they're going to be rewarded. They returned half of it, and I guess they're trying to get the other half back. So the article says the cryptocurrency investors have been transfixed over the last few days by the antics of a mysterious hacker who stole more than 600 million before gradually giving it all back. Was the thief a good Samaritan to expose a dangerous security flaw, or did they simply realize that they were about to be caught? I'm pretty sure that we all think it's the latter. The hacker struck the Poly network, and he or she or them did this on Tuesday. By Thursday, they had given back almost all of the stolen funds and a slow trickle of transactions. Wonder if they were worried about gas fees. With $500,000 in their pocket, they don't have to anymore. But by Thursday, they had given back almost all of the stolen funds, and the thief insisted that the money had been stolen with good intentions. Okay, if you say so. So that's the update on the hacker news. Again, exactly as we predicted. So these are the kinds of things that do happen. This is why Gary Gensler called crypto the wild, wild west. Here's another great article. There has been, and this looks like it's going to be a pattern that is going to be heating up. It looks like it started with the NFL. I know there was a football player. I don't watch sports. I don't know who this football player was, but I'm sure you could Google it. He asked for a portion of his money to be paid in crypto. Here is another. Let's share this article with you guys. Another athlete also asking to have a portion of his money or his pay in crypto. And this is the soccer superstar Messi is being partly paid in crypto by PSG. And apparently PSG is a fan token. So he signed a 2-year deal with PSG this week with an option for a third that will net him an annual salary of $41 million plus bonuses. He also said that the package included cryptocurrency, the PSG fan token. So there he is, apparently very happy. That's quite a nice contract. He's holding a press conference there. That's the Paris Saint-Germain soccer club, a French soccer club. So I'm sure that this is not he wasn't the first, and he will apparently not be the last athlete to take or ask for, as part of his contract, a portion of his pay in crypto. Again, this is great for the crypto sphere because it just points to more mass adoption. That's quite a nice financial package. Nice score there for Mr. Messi. There was nothing messy about that contract whatsoever. And then in the news, we have, I kind of want to lead up to a pattern. Obviously, mass adoption is where we're all hoping to go. And shout out to Scott Reed. Thank you for watching and commenting. We appreciate you. Of young people, athletes, the millennials in particular, really adopting and embracing this new digital asset called crypto, and how this is not just a trend. It is not a bubble, as some people have believed it to be. I know that many of you who love crypto like I do may have tried to talk to friends and family about what an amazing opportunity this is. And you didn't want to come off sounding like a multi-level marketer, because you almost kind of felt like that, because there were so many people who were misinformed and miseducated about what crypto is, who had heard that it's some kind of a Ponzi scheme. This is a bubble that's waiting to burst, etc., etc., etc. And they kind of looked at you like you were crazy until maybe, you were able to show them, some gains. And then maybe they believed it. And then sometimes maybe they didn't. They still kind of were like hands off. But this is a story that I'm going to share with you of a guy who missed a major opportunity and I'm quite sure is extremely regretful of it. We all know Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried. If you don't know who Sam Bankman-Fried is, Alameda Research, aka the huge exchange that just did a history-breaking round of fundraising, FTX. I think they also have some kind of a deal with a basketball team. This guy has money for days. So this is a article written by Yahoo Finance, portrait of a 29-year-old billionaire. 29 years old, already a billionaire. Can Sam Bankman-Fried make his risky crypto business work? So let's ask somebody that Sam approached. Apparently, Mr. Fried is an MIT graduate. And so in the fall of 2017, he had a classmate. That classmate's name was Yedida. That was his last name. And he asked Mr. Yedida if he'd go into business with him. He had this thing he was working on. He wanted to launch a trading firm that was buying and selling cryptocurrencies and digital assets like Bitcoin and ETH and all of those things that we all know and love. And Mr. Yedida said, no, I think I'll pass. This whole thing seems a little bit scammy. Seems like this is a bubble. And Mr. Fried, as we know, went forward anyway, and the rest is crypto history. So 4 years later, he's a billionaire 16 times over, according to a recent Forbes estimate. So you can imagine, I just wonder at night if Mr. Yedida sleeps well, because this would just, that conversation with Sam would just keep playing and playing over and over in my mind, sort of like a really bad broken record. So let me see. He had a comment here, and he said that he wished just many times over that he had said yes. So, don't let this be you. Sometimes you got to take risks. There's Sam Bankman-Fried. There's a picture of him right there. Sometimes it's okay to take a risk. Sometimes it's a good thing to do so. I mean, if you're like me, maybe you were at a point in your life when you found crypto that you had nothing to lose. And suppose Sam had said, you know what, my friend's not interested. Maybe he's right. Maybe this is a scammy bubble Ponzi scheme situation. I'm not going to go forward, because oftentimes we can be influenced by the people around us. But he found the fortitude, despite being turned down by someone that he respected enough to ask to partner with him, and moved forward. And again, now the man is worth billions of dollars. So anything that has the name Sam Bankman-Fried, in our Discord, we're looking at the FTX token. That token has risen in value, quite a bit since we started looking at it. So, when opportunity knocks, it pays to, give it a listen sometimes and do your own research, find out about things. Don't just take other people's word for it because somebody else said, this is a bubble, but you've never looked into it. You've never done any research. You don't know what crypto is. You haven't looked at any success stories in this digital asset class, and you said no. So, and don't be Yedida. Don't be him. That poor guy. This is another story. I saw this coming. I'm sure that many of you saw this coming as well. We finally have a cryptocurrency that is built on, guess what? Cannabis. There is now a hemp-focused cryptocurrency, Quanabu, QBU, and it has launched. This will solve a global problem in terms of helping to track what's happening in this particular market. As we know, the United States has, for the most part, green-lighted cannabis. There's a lot of these cannabis stocks that did extremely well this year. So it was only a matter of time before crypto was going to find its way into this market. So it seems that it has finally gone live on the market after months of preparation. The project is aiming to leverage the blockchain to create open and transparent supply chains. So this is, think VeChain, but for marijuana, across hemp, CBD, and other commodity sectors. The company hopes to raise funds through the token QBU to help fund the creation of a payment system called Quantabu Pay. So, not sure what that's going to entail. That's going to be interesting. Or are you going to be able to go online through Quantabu Pay and, buy your cannabis? Probably not, but you never know. So I just thought that was interested. An interesting story. Sorry about that. I can't speak because I'm trying to read and talk and scroll and everything and multitask and all good stuff like that. But yeah, I could have seen this coming. This is probably going to happen in every new and emerging industry moving forward. They're going to get a cryptocurrency associated with it. So watch out for that one, QBU. And then I have one article here about the metaverse. And this one kind of follows up with what we have been talking about on the show pretty much all week. And it doesn't paint a very pretty picture of Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook founder and CEO. There seems to be a lot of negative chatter out there regarding Mr. Zuckerberg and the metaverse. So this is entitled The Metaverse, Mark Zuckerberg's Brave New World. Mark Zuckerberg attempts to create his own metaverse that would result in ever more centralization, leading to a dystopian future. So that's really kind of rough. Other than calling him Sauron, the evil eye of Sauron is in the metaverse, apparently, according to a lot of these folks. If Facebook happened to be a human being, where he or she or they, where would they currently be? Most likely in prison. We all know about Mark Zuckerberg's record in terms of the company's transgressions, he says here in the article, are too numerous to list. But Facebook is not human. It's a company, and it's a very profitable one at that. They have a capitalization that recently surpasses the $1 trillion mark. When we think of Facebook, more specifically, we tend to think of a social media platform that is somewhat dated. A lot of people have been saying that Facebook is dead. So I do not know if this is Mr. Zuckerberg's attempt to reignite his flagship. I'm not sure, but he definitely has the time and the money to do so. And it is very clear that he has made the metaverse his 5-year plan for the Facebook company. So it is a well-oiled machine. Its power is undeniable, and this power is growing, as Fortune magazine recently noted. Facebook, it appears, cannot be hurt, not by any major buyers boycotting its service, not by state and federal investigations, and not even by a pandemic. While the rest of us may have struggled a bit, or sometimes more than a bit, apparently Mark Zuckerberg's worth was 130, it was 82 billion, $82 billion. And currently today, that net worth after the pandemic is above $130 billion. So he can build a heck of a metaverse with that. So what I'm hoping is that there will be, definitely he will be a first mover in the space. It seems like there's no denying, simply because he has the connections and the capital. But there will be other companies that I hope competing in the space, so that Facebook or Mark's metaverse might not be the only entry point that we have. At least I hope so. There's no doubt that he's in this for the money and to consumerize the heck out of this and to commercialize the heck out of it. And yeah, I pray that there are other companies with maybe a bit more social empathy that will be entering the metaverse space. But it seems like this is like the third article out there about how people just don't like Mark Zuckerberg entering into the metaverse. So yeah, it's a lot of hate. It's not cute, but it is what it is, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So the thing for you to remember is that it's coming. Look for companies outside of Facebook if you're not a Facebook supporter that may be entering in. Look for opportunities. We had several articles on this week about the NASCAR getting in, Mattel with Hot Wheels getting in, designer clothing companies are entering in. So those are the kind of NFTs you want to look for. Wearable stuff, wearable NFTs by designers, if you have blood rich enough for those kinds of things. And you can get them at mint as opposed to when they're in the secondary market on OpenSea. Those are like golden tickets, not financial advice. And here's the last article that I want to share with you guys. And this one is about the number of millennials that are quitting their jobs to become crypto day traders. And I know that sounds almost like a punchline, but it's true. There are a number of millennials, and this story here in USA Today actually has interviewed some of them, and they talk about the risk and the rewards. Now, I personally am not a trader of crypto. I believe in the buy, hodl, sell, have a method or a system to exit when it's time to exit. But there are plenty of people who do enjoy those kinds of riskier ways to make gains in the crypto market. And if you're a bit younger, like obviously these folks are, then you may want to take the chance to say, you know what, I'm done with the day job and I just want to do crypto. I want that to be my job. So here's a story of a 27-year-old Albanian immigrant who quit his job as a bartender at a French restaurant in Manhattan to spend more time day trading on his phone. His decision was sealed when he became frustrated that his work income was just 20% of his earnings prior to being laid off from another bartending job last year. He kept thinking about all the lost opportunities to make even more money if he had the time to spend day trading. And this is his wife, Gabrielle, who had already had some success on Robinhood with, guess what? Dogecoin. She was one of the early investors in Dogecoin. And once you get into crypto and you see the gains you can make as compared to, or even how quickly you can make those gains as compared to something like the stock market, you do get hooked. So it seems that, reading this story further on, that he consults with her on anything he's getting ready to do that's risky, as he should, because that is his wife. But she was the one who initially had the success in crypto on Robinhood and decided, yes, this is definitely something I can support. You quitting your job and going into crypto trading full time. And apparently they've been pretty successful at it at this moment. Okay. Meme mania pushes millennials and Gen Z into the stock and cryptocurrency market. Again, there's fast cash to be made. The millennials have gone through, during their time, recessions and things that have impacted what would have been their really key money-making years. So, we all remember, the recession in 2008, 2009, when those folks were coming of age, and a lot of them still had to live home because they just could not afford rents because there were just no jobs. And that literally changed the economic landscape. And I don't care what the politicians say, we have still never recovered. And the pandemic has just, made a bad situation worse for a lot of people. So when you have these young folks seeing the opportunities that are in cryptocurrency and stocks, like you guys remember the big GameStop story, they see opportunity. They see a chance to actually one day have a home. save enough money for, God forbid, retirement or whatever else. And you can see why the attraction is there. Young investors have COVID-induced FOMO. All these lofty values and the wealth generated by it have drawn young Americans to investing, even though they have been hit by the 2 once-in-a-lifetime recessions, right? Haven't we all? Early in their prime earning years, which is what I just said. So the drive to get into the action does come with big risk. So I'm glad they don't paint this picture of get rich quick, because just as well as you can earn money in crypto, just like with any other asset class, just like with stocks, you can just as quickly lose it if you are not being wise in the choices you are making, and you are not in it for a get rich quick, let's make a flip, but you are in it for the long term. You're willing to buy, you vet what those things are that you're buying, and be in it for the long term, as I said, to hold as a hodler. Even traders, educating yourself is the best thing that you can do. Just don't jump into this, and go into this blind. Be in it with eyes fully open, understand the rewards, but definitely understand the risk. It says here that most Americans still aren't familiar with cryptocurrency. It was 17 months ago that COVID-19 drove down the financial markets 34% and sent the economy into one of the sharpest downturns since the Great Depression. Yeah, that sounds very true. So a lot of people are struggling financially still. But as we know, cryptocurrency has not yet anywhere near mass adoption. We're getting there. But roughly 60% of U.S. adults say they are not very or not at all familiar with cryptocurrencies. And the article just goes on basically to talk about how far behind America is in terms of training folks financially. Things that should be are taught in school in other countries are not taught in school here. Gamification bringing significant risk. We know there's a lot of play to pay stuff going on in crypto. Axie Infinity is to name one of the most popular ones. There are many more. So he does end with a word of caution here. He says, I have yet to meet a billionaire who made their billions from day trading. The greatest investment is education. So again, if this is something that you choose to do, make very, very sure that you're educating yourself. You're getting the best training, the best guidance that you possibly can. Don't go in blind. Hi, Sean Webster. Shout out. Okay, guys. Let me stop sharing the screen. We are done with the news for today, and now we're going to get into story time. Picture it, Sicily, 1960. I'm just joking. We're not going to go that far back. And we're not going to talk about Sicily either. This is actually, picture it, 2001, right after 9/11 in the nation's capital. Enter Corey. I moved here right after 9/11. In fact, I moved here on 9/15. The world was in a mess. The markets were in a mess. I was a mess. I was changing my life, moving across states. I had just ended this really traumatic, crazy, toxic relationship, jumped into another one with who I thought was like the love of my life, and said, we're doing a clean slate and we're moving. My partner at the time had a home here, and she was like, my son's getting ready to move out. Let's go. We're going to move in. And it just so happened that like right before we got ready to move, 9/11 happened. So that was a heck of an intro and maybe a sign, but I didn't catch the hint. You have to think about the fact that 20 years ago, which is when 2001 9/11 happened, I was 34 years old and just still young and really very, very naive. So I moved from a place where I was the CEO of a nonprofit organization that helped women to find housing and if they had educational needs or basically whatever they needed. It was a women's empowerment group, and I had done that for over a decade, for 11 years, and I was used to being my own boss. And I moved here after 9/11, and the market has crashed, and there's literally like no work. There are no jobs anywhere. And even at 34 years old, my age and experience was kind of like being held against me, because any jobs that were hiring that were decent, they were looking again for kids who were fresh out of college, who they could pay to do the work like really cheaply. So if my position that I had was, and I had a team of 6, at that point in time, with the economy being what it was, they wanted one person to do the work of 6, and then they wanted to pay that one person like way, way less. So here I was coming from like being a boss, owning my own business and having run my own nonprofit for a decade, into a space that was unfamiliar. I didn't know anybody, didn't have any friends other than the person I moved here with. My kids were pretty young also back then, and I was just a mess. And I just stumbled around so much until I kind of found my footing, and I ended up, because I just needed to work, because I had bills and I had kids, I had things that needed to happen. And I took this job with a physical security company as a security guard. And you can imagine, for me, I consider myself a pretty humble person, but that was a long way down from what I was used to. But I had to pay the bills, and it was honest work. And I worked my way up in this company. And I was with that company for a good 5 years. And before I left that company, I was actually the quality assurance manager. So I worked my way up from security guard into the admin office as quality assurance manager. And I was pretty proud of the fact. And then I left that company and went to another company who was working there on the same site as a contractor. And I had another fancy title and position, and I was making, pretty good money, almost $70,000 a year. And I was thinking, I finally got myself together. I can see some light at the end of this tunnel, and maybe things are looking up. And before you know it, this again, I worked with that company for 5 years, and you guys remember the start of the second once in a lifetime recession in 2008, 2009. And I went in, it was right before Christmas. I will never forget. Right before Christmas, and everyone had a pink slip on their desk. So Merry Christmas, here you go, here's your pink slip. And that's what I got. So here I am again in the second recession, without work, in this relationship that was really beginning to be pretty rocky, and going through kind of like the worst things that a couple can ever go through, and just like really taking this big shot to my confidence, because here I finally was feeling like a sense of independence. I thought my life was going well, things were good, everything was working out, and here's recession number 2, and again I'm out of work, and with still young children to feed. At this point in time, I had a mortgage. Actually, I had 2 mortgages. I was trying to sell a house in Florida, and then the market tanked, and I couldn't sell the house, and that house ended up in foreclosure. And the house I was living in also ended up in foreclosure. And I was literally like, again, here I am again, young kids, wondering like, what is going to happen to me? Where am I going to be? And I'm sure that there are many of you who are out here listening, or who will hear this later, who can identify with what I'm saying or what I've gone through. My story is not unique. It's the story of many Americans. So again, I'm forced to take, or felt forced at that time, because the same scenario. I'm 20 years older now. Well, not 20 years older. I'm older. I'm in my late 40s by this point in time, and I'm looking for work with my resume that has all of this great experience on it. But again, employers are looking for college kids who they can pay less to do more. So my experience and my age was held against me, and I ended up getting a job in retail. And not just any retail, it was retail hell. Again, it was honest work. I'm a humble person. It is what it is. I'm a grateful person. I was grateful to have the work and to have a steady paycheck. But when I tell you that it was a very soul sucking position, at the time I was doing car care. Retail in and of itself is already kind of a very thankless job. So be nice to your retail people moving forward after hearing this story. But I literally would come into work and, there's just people who are going through things, struggling the same as I am, but they want to come in and take it out on the folks behind the counter, of which I was one. So I frequently had people screaming in my face about their car not being fixed right. I'm not the mechanic, mind you, but I'm the face that they see, and I'm the first person that they can take their frustrations out on. So you can imagine, dealing with the public in any setting my hat is off. I don't even have words. My hat is off to anybody that does it, and I have great respect for people who work in public service in any shape, form, or fashion. But needless to say, when I came home from that job, I was totally drained. I literally had no energy for uh, my partner at the time, the kids. It was really rough. And every day, I remember literally sitting on the edge of my bed and thinking, if I have to go into this job again, I'm just going to break down and cry. And so I did. So I literally sobbed and just remember just praying to any higher power who was listening, could you please, work things out for me so that I'm not living from paycheck to paycheck, that I, have something that I can utilize my talents and gifts and creativity in. And that job was not it. And fortunately, because there's always angels all around us if we look for them, and because there's always, again, the silver lining for every dark cloud, I had this amazing boss. And he always looked out for me. So whenever I needed a mental health break, I always got it. He never said no. He was always very encouraging in terms of, you can lift yourself back up. This is not the end of your story. This is just a temporary pit stop. And, he was an amazing, amazing man that I know that, the higher powers like put in my life for that point in time. But I was really out there searching for a way to find a way to stop living from paycheck to paycheck, or at least not having to deal with retail jobs or jobs that were soul sucking and like energy draining and just did not in any shape, form, or fashion benefit or prosper me in any way. So it was really tough. I looked at so many things. I remember even looking at MLMs, and we know what those really are. It's great for the folks at the top if you got in early and you were one of the people at the top, and you or you were related to one of them and they help to push you along. But it's not so good if you're the person on the bottom rung, kind of left holding the bag. You're the last man in and you just run out of energy in terms of recruiting. So because once you stop recruiting, it's done. So MLMs, I was just looking for a way out. And I knew that I was like, gosh, I'm just too old to go back to school. Wrong way of thinking, but that's what I was thinking. I did end up, eventually getting back into school and saying, well, I'm going to go ahead and get my college degree because I didn't have that. I ran businesses. I was like, I'd never needed it before, but the world had changed significantly. So I had worked in the car care service for 5 years, and I had just really come to the end of my rope, and I just could not do it another day. And at that point in time, I was in Telegram. I don't know if people remember, but there was something that they were called Susus. They really were just another form of Ponzi scheme or MLM. But, a group of people would put money in, you'd get other people to put money in, and you get paid out. And I did that, thinking, I finally found something because it did work a couple of times. I did get lucky, but you really have to be lucky because that's not a way to sustain yourself. But I knew that I could not go back to that job. So I said, the answer is school. I went and had a long talk with my partner, who's about 15 years older than me. and who was raised by a mom who was a child of the Depression, and they just believed in work. You did 9 to 5, and if you didn't have a job, you weren't, that was it. And they were the kind of person that could work on a job and did, whether they hated it or not, for like 25, 30 years. And that's what they did. and they had been on their job for like 20 years. And they were like, so I knew I had to have that conversation. I wasn't looking forward to that, but I did. And I was, I like, look, I'm just asking that you support me because I have to figure something out, because I know what I can't do, and I can't do this. And I wanted independence. I wanted to have my own money. I did not want to live from paycheck to paycheck or have to be dependent on anyone. Even with having a husband or a wife, you still like to have your own money. I do. I'm a girl. I like my own money. So I had the conversation, and to my surprise, they were initially very supportive. So I gave my notice. And at this point in time, I had just started dabbling into crypto and figuring out crypto, or trying to figure it out. And I knew that I was onto something. I watched every video. I read everything that I could get my hands on. I talked to every expert that I had access to. And I, started investing, little amounts of money and seeing those gains take place. And at the time, I had literally like about $4,000 left in my 401k. And I said, well, it's now or never. I'm going to take that, and this is what I'm going to use as my baseline. And I did make some, I vetted some projects, made some pretty good choices, and I ended up 10xing that money. So at that point in time, my partner was definitely convinced that I was on the right path. And I decided that, yeah, this is what I want to do full time. I'm going into this. I'm going to be passionate enough about this, that this is what it's going to be. Still going to go to school, still going to take classes where I can, but this is going to be my primary thing, because there is a learning curve with crypto, and you do have to put the time in, and it's the time in equals your investment out. So just remember that you got to put the time in. And I say all of that to say this. Do you need to join our Discord group in order to make gains in crypto? No, you don't. Would it benefit you to join the Discord group to make gains in crypto? Yes, it would. Because had I found this group much earlier than I did, a lot of the mistakes that I made, a lot of the pain and suffering that I went through, a lot of the struggling that I did on my own, because no one around me was into crypto, just like most of this country doesn't know anything about what crypto is. I was out there just feeling like I was alone. And I'm so grateful to have found this family that I am in now, because that's what we are. We support each other. We encourage each other. I have, again, seen my balance grow since being in the group, because there's so many people with expertise. So and then I have expertise that also can offer, and I do. So it's great to have people that you can play off of and ask, people that can offer you guidance. We're not financial advisors by any stretch of the imagination, but there's certainly people inside that group who are willing to share the benefit of their experience with you. And I finally got my confidence back, found my niche, learned a whole new digital asset. And here I am talking to you about it. So go to our Discord group. You can enter that through Cryptonairz.com, in the ticker running right below. Look, where's my hand? Right below here in the video. You can see the website. It ends with a Z, not an S. So it's Cryptonairz.com. And you can join our Discord group from there. But I wanted to share the story with you to say to you that no matter what hard times or struggles that you have gone through, this really is an opportunity. I know that we don't know what's going to happen with regulation. I know that there might be lots of people around you saying this is a bubble, it's a Ponzi scheme, or whatever negative FUD, fear, and gossip and misunderstanding that people may be peddling about it simply because they haven't educated themselves. You owe it to yourself to at least educate yourself about cryptocurrency and what it has to offer. So that is my story for tonight. If you watched this, I thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share this channel. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers, hopefully by the end of this month, and we can do that with your help. But needless to say, after I walked away, that very sweet man who was my boss at the time said to me that if at any time you need to come back or you change your mind, your job is open. and I am so grateful, because months later, even to this day, he calls me and like, are you okay? Months later, I was able to tell him that, thank you very much for the offer, but no, thank you. I'm okay. And really, really mean that. And be confident in the fact that now I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can see a place where the struggle is finally subsided, and it feels great. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what the future will hold for cryptocurrency, but I do know that I can make gains right now. So if you're out there and you're listening, again, go to cryptonairz.com, check out our Discord group. You'll be welcome there, just like family. We'll treat you good. I hope you have a great night, and we will see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. to give you crypto news, crypto tips, and crypto trends.